Hello everybody, my name is Dino Carpentras.
And I'm Damian Dailisan.
And today we're going to talk to you about one paper that we are working on, which is about some way improving democracy with remixing.
Remixing, what a cool concept. So, what was the whole idea? Why did we think about this paper? The big problems of democracy, I think, is having this disconnect between the people and how I actually have an impact on the laws and decisions that are made in democratic processes.
Yeah, and I think there are many studies which are showing that people some way trust less and less the entire system, and this it's still not super clear why this happens, but some of the problem are also due to representativity. So the fact that people don't feel like they have a big impact on the final product, because what they can do at the moment, especially a big scale, is that they can elect a representative and then they need to hope that the representative is going to do whatever they wanted to do.
Tough luck, kid. I mean, do they always have your best interests at heart?
Yeah, this is already a big topic. And also, even if they want to do what the population wanted to do, in any case, there is a lot of diversity within the population. So at the end, it's also hard that they're going to do your specific interest.
But, we actually live in this country called Switzerland. And in Switzerland, there's this fancy thing that they're trying out, a crazy experiment, actual participation. Why doesn't that work?
Yeah, that's, there are many different ways to trying to get people more involved in the public discourse and in participation. There are citizen assembly or, for example, participatory budgeting, which, just to put it simply, are situations where people are called to participate and decide over a budget for a specific project.
Rather than have the representatives talk about the budget for them, they actually gather themselves and choose how to fund different projects.
Yeah, they can do it for themselves. But the main issue with many of these initiatives is their scalability. The problem is, as you can imagine, the more we want to go to bigger scale, the more problematic is that everybody can participate and have a direct influence on the final product.
I mean, what if you want them all? I don't want them all. What do we do then?
Yeah, so we have very different solutions which go from very low scale. We have, for example, deliberation, which is just people being in a room and discussing and trying to find an agreement, to this, let's say, mid-size solutions, to mid-size solutions, for example, participatory budgeting. And then we have national level solutions, which are for example, voting. And with voting, the thing is when you have this massive amount of people, what can you do if not just pre-select for them what are going to be the possibilities and just tell them you can just express one preference.
So that's what we're actually trying to challenge in this paper. It's is there a better way where we can have these situations where my ideas can actually be considered for these sorts of new decision-making processes? And I think that's why we came up with this inspiration of remixing. What is remixing?
Yeah, so remixing is actually it's not new. Technically it's super old, because the basic idea of remixing is that if you want to create something, instead of starting from scratch, you can just take what somebody else has done and then modify it.
It's pretty much the same as what you would hear from DJs, where they would remix music.
Exactly. And the term became very popular exactly with music, when people decided that instead of starting from scratch, I can just take your song, change it a bit, and produce a new song. And what made the remixing really explode is the advent of the digital tools. Because now with digital tools, I can take whatever you produced, copy it, so I don't need to modify your version. I can copy it, and then I can modify the new version. So is non-destructive anymore, because before, otherwise you had to destroy, in some sense, the original product. And this also allows like a lot of bifurcations, because now your stuff can still exist. And
I could take your picture, do something with it, and you still have that picture. Someone else could take that picture and do something else with it.
Exactly. Maybe don't take my picture personally, but but this is how memes work on the internet, for example. Like somebody starts with a picture, then somebody makes a meme out of it, a person modifies the meme, etc. And this happens many times, and we see more and more bifurcations.
Yeah, I've seen tons of variations of this base meme, and it just makes the internet fun.
Yeah, like the Doge meme has taken so many shapes. But, you know, like with remixing, we had this thing that it goes in all directions, while democracy...
It needs to generally go in one direction.
Exactly. Would you like to explain a little why do we need like this convergence?
I mean, like, we can't have two things that conflict, you know? If you want to have free Coke for everyone, I don't want to have free Coke for everyone. We can't really have both options occur at the same time. Eventually, one of the two has to win out on the other. So I think the challenge here was we have this nice idea of remixing, but then how do we make it compatible with democracy? And what we had was we came up with this three-phase thing where we have idea generation via remixing, and then we combine it with two voting phases. One voting phase is what we call distributed voting, where portions of these designs would be pre-distributed to different participating members, and then they would rank all of these options. And then these pre-ranked options would then be collected together, and then we just choose the top couple of designs and then do a final round of voting on them. It's kind of like a cheap hack where instead of having everyone vote on everything and thus taking forever, we just look at a couple of things. So we still have this notion of everybody sees a lot of designs at the same time. And then you do it in two stages just to reduce the burden on people. Exactly.
And this was because at a certain point we were thinking like, what if, you know, like we have a new solution that somebody generated, but this needs to be voted by everybody. And if we have a few solutions, this is definitely doable. But if thousands, maybe even millions of people are participating, then we will have millions of solutions. And I don't think this is really feasible.
I think both of us would eventually admit to doom scrolling a little bit. But then doom scrolling a million things, I think that's too much.
That's a Saturday evening on Instagram.
That's a whole weekend. So yeah, we did these things in the paper. And of course, we wanted to show that this thing works. How did we do this?
Yeah, so the thing is, it's very hard to test this in the real world, especially because, you know, ideally, if we really want to test this, we will need at least 1,000 people, I think, to really go in the right direction. And definitely, we cannot test it at massive scale, like, you know, at a national level. Unless...
Imagine if this flops and breaks one country's system.
Yeah, unless like if there is one country that allows us to test, let us know. Like we are definitely interested. Just call us. But yeah, we could not test this in the real world. So what we did is that we decided to test it very thoroughly in a more simulation and analytical way. So we developed a lot of different models, from analytical models, statistical models, and agent-based models, to test at different levels and from different angles if this thing would work, if it would be possible to get something like remixing with these three phases to be very productive even at massive scales, like national level scale.
So we had these models. And then we also wanted to compare, you know, remixing against some baselines. So here we compared remixing with crowdsourcing and deliberation. We discussed that before.
Kind of. We mentioned a little deliberation, but we can.
And the thing is, what we see is like deliberation is great, but only if there's not a lot of people involved. So something to the order of less than 10 people is like easy for deliberation. You get really good ideas, and these ideas would have really good performance utility, as we call it in the paper. This middle ground of crowdsourcing instead does a lot better than deliberation when you have a lot more players involved. But we saw that the results, the quality wasn't doing so well the more people you add. The nice thing is remixing totally does.
Yes. And maybe just to expand a little bit on crowdsourcing and also deliberation, just to make clear, like deliberation here we suppose like completely flat deliberation without any rules. And for crowdsourcing we suppose that people are just generating, like each person is independently generating one idea. And this works reasonably well, but the problem is like people cannot build on each other idea, which is what we get with remixing, which some way merges the best of both worlds, of both deliberation and crowdsourcing, because people can inspire each other like in deliberation, but also we have like the keep building very quickly
it's
of
just
crowdsourcing.
Like, I see good idea, I see another good idea. Amazing.
Yes. And I think this was what allowed remixing really to go that fast in terms of like growing up with the number of people. And maybe another important thing is that even if with distributed voting, we proved that we are not able to find the top idea that was produced, but still we can get something very close. And this allows us to still be extremely efficient compared to other methods, because remixing, the idea generation phase is so good at finding new efficient ideas that even having a tiny loss of efficiency is still extremely good.
And efficiency here in this context is not just like how well you find the idea, but like the notion of time.
Exactly.
Because like with deliberation, maybe you find the best idea if you really talk to everyone, but how long would that take? 10 years? 20 years?
Yeah, I think like at a certain point I was making just for fun a calculation of how long it would take to make a conversation between all the people of a nation, just giving 1 minute per person. And I think for many countries it gets so long that just the rate at which people die and born is faster. So actually, you will have more people that never talk than people that are talk even in the long run.
So if I'm born today and then I wait for my turn, I'd probably be an adult by then.
Probably you will die before it's your turn.
Even before, oh man.
In many countries, it's so long.
So yeah, remixing democracy. It's an interesting paper. And we have it out as a preprint. So I hope people would take notice, and then try to see if it actually can work for their system. We lay out the groundwork. We say that it is a good, feasible thing to do. And, Donald, hit us up.
In any case, we don't think this is the end. Like we didn't test this in the real world. We think like this is like the first step. We proved that this can theoretically work, but there are so many aspects that we didn't have time to look into that. And if we want to make this a reality, it will take a lot of work and a lot of analysis from different angles to explore really all the possible features and also possible problems of this methodology. So yeah, we really hope that more people will be interested in this and we can get more literature growing on this topic.
Yeah, I think we really need to push this remixing movement, get a lot of people involved, get them interested, and eventually we will see something work in the real world.
Definitely. So thank you very much for watching, and if you're interested you can ask some questions below, and probably me and Damian will appear at a certain point and try to answer that.
Reach out to us via email or just
check us out on social media, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.